All right, just for a little variation in our game, what I want to do is take this enemies class that we have, and let's make a copy of it and change it so we have an enemy that behaves differently. So, right, our initial enemy just takes one shot and then it's dead. But let's go ahead and use this harder image, this other enemy, to be like an enemy that takes 3 shots to kill instead. So I'm going to go ahead and see you later, and I'm going to copy the enemy class. And some of it's going to stay the same. All right, the initializer won't change. But in the update section, we're going to handle the hit list a little bit differently. So I'm no longer checking the length of the hit list to see, right, if I've been hit by anything that I die. No, now what I want to do is I am going to add an attribute called shield, and I'll set it to 3. And what's going to happen, what my intention here is, for every laser that hits us, we lose a unit of our shield. And then if our shield ever gets down to 0, that's when the enemy will kill itself. So, oh yeah, and I should call it something else. I'm going to call it enemy 2. So I've got enemy and enemy 2, and enemy 2 is going to be the hard enemy. All right, so instead of checking the length of the hit list, what I'm going to do is use a for loop instead. And I'll say for hit and hits. So for every laser that hit us. Maybe I should say, just so we know what it is that we make contact with when we read the code. I'm going to say self.shield minus equals 1. And then we have to check to see if our shield gets down to 0. So let's just wait till... So here is the place where we have looped through all the lasers that might have hit us on a given iteration of the game loop. And so after that, I'll say if self.shield is less than or equal to 0, we'll say self.kill. And one of the things that might be tempting and an easy mistake to make is, sometimes you say equal to 0, but what you run the risk of happening is, let's suppose you're shooting fast, and let's suppose the enemy gets hit by 2 lasers on the exact same iteration of the game loop. If the enemy went in with a health or a shield of 1, and you subtracted 2, then the shield would go down to -1, and we'd actually never see a shield of exactly 0, and we wouldn't die, even though we actually should have. So what I'm going to do is do the shield if I am less than or equal to 0. That way, just in the rare situation where you get hit by 2 things at once and you go negative, we'll still get killed in the game. All right, the enemy will still get killed. All right, so that's the difference. Just 2 different approaches we can take. Now let's put some into the game. I got to load an image. It's enemy 2 image, and it's enemy black. And so we'll go down here to where we're making our enemies, and let's just put 2 of them in. We'll do 4 and 5. I'll make them enemy 2s. And let's say we'll just continue the same spacing. This formation is going to be dumb. That's something you guys can work out later. So we'll do 600, and I'll do 750. And the nice thing about, since the enemies still essentially behave the same, there's not a problem putting them in the same group. So I'm just going to add E3 or E4 and enemy 5 to the list. And let's run, and we shouldn't have to, they're already getting updated, they're already getting drawn, so we don't have to worry about that. Put them in the game, and something's wrong there. That's it. When I did I should have done enemy 2 image, and I'm going to go ahead and turn off lines of code where I was drawing the boxes around them earlier too. All right, so now we've got different enemies, and we can shoot here, one shot, and we'll go over here, take 1, 2, and 3 shots to kill it from the game. All right, so just, and maybe that'll give you some ideas now that you've seen a couple techniques for eventually inventing some enemies with some other behavior that you think of. All right, so that will be the end of this video, and I'll see you next time.